What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My intro is going to be a little bit different today. We are going to introduce this man as something he went through that he's going to share with you. He came back from 2 shocks from an AED, sudden cardiac death, and a dismal diagnosis changed his outlook on life, ego, and gratitude. He is also a podcaster. I'm going to throw that in there, though. Please welcome Jeff Luther. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome, but your story is so dynamic. And I know that when we had our intro call, you've had a little hard time dealing with what you went through. I kind of want to we told them clip notes of what you went through. So let's kind of go back and talk about like where you were in your life when all this happened.
Oh man. When it started, when it happened, I was kind of burying myself in exercise. I've always been an exercise enthusiast. And I tell people like I'm a recovering cyclist, right? Competitive cyclist. So that it kind of tells the story. Cyclists are addicted to exercise, 4, 5, 6 hours a day every time you ride. So that's where I was. I had gotten into running ultras. I've been doing that for a few years, and I was into CrossFit. So I was competitive in CrossFit. I was a competitive CrossFit athlete. I got my son into it at the time I was 16. Also at the time, my 14-year-old was just getting into it. So it was something that we did together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was. And I was burning it down. I was pretty full stink.
Can we ask like how old you were when this happened? Like before this happened?
Sure. Yeah. I was 46.
So young. I'm 47, so my age.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Young, very young.
It is young. It is young. And so this happened when you were working out, right?
It did. Yeah. I'll tell you, I'll spend 2 minutes building my ego first, and I'll tell you when
All right, build ego. It's all right. We'll let you do that.
So on June the 5th of 2021, I had an ultra to do. It was my first overnight ultra.
What is an ultra? Just really quick.
It's an ultra marathon. So anything over 26.2 miles is considered ultra.
Holy cow.
So if it's like 26 and a half, you can say I'm an ultra runner.
Okay.
This one was a 50K. So it's what, 30, it was 32.8 miles. It was 1 mile too long. I can tell you that. And
yeah. I have no desire to ever do anything and I'm an athlete, but I have no desire to do anything like that in my life.
Yeah. And I clearly I've done my last.
Okay. So you're getting ready.
I was getting ready. I trained for it. I showed up to that race to win. That's why I was there. I was going to win. That was what I was going to do. I came in second. I had a young guy there just ran me right off his wheels. So it happens. But that was June the 5th. And I knew, after the race, I knew where I messed up. I knew where I could train. I knew that I would be back. I knew I'd run that ultra, the same one next year, and I would win.
Yeah.
So I took the week off, June the 12th. I'm at a CrossFit gym with my son doing a partnered workout. And for those of you out there that do CrossFit or do partnered workouts, you know that there's always one of two ways it can go. Like if you get an edge on your partner, you can bury him, but you have to really work. So I was burying my son, and I started getting, I was doing wall balls. I started getting these palpitations in my neck. It was like a real high heart rate. Like, oh man, this is weird. So I stopped for a second. I was like, wow, this will go. It had happened before.
Right.
And I knew it would take probably 10 or 12 seconds and it would go away. Well, it didn't go away. About 30 seconds goes by and it still didn't go away, but I started getting lightheaded. I was like, oh my gosh, this is weird. So I'll just take a knee. I took a knee and it didn't go away. I mean, it was getting worse. And so I took 2 knees. So I'm sitting on my heels. Yeah. I put the medicine ball I had, set it on the ground. And one of the distinct things I remember is the guy beside me was lifting in a rack, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Hey, are you okay?" And all I could think was, oh my gosh, get your hand off of me. I'm scared. I'm vulnerable. I don't know what's happening. Right. And in a flash, all I could think was, oh my gosh, please don't take your hand off me. I'm scared. I'm vulnerable. I don't know what's happening. Right. And when he asked me if I was okay, all I could do was shake my head. And then I was going down.
Wow.
And it's like, all right, well, I just need to lay down. And then as I was laying down, I saw my son's shoes on the gym floor walking towards me.
Yeah.
And that was like the last thing. I was like, I've got to get up. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I've got to get up. And I was out.
Yeah. Holy cow. As an athlete, I don't know how that would be so scary.
It's, yeah.
But you feel so strong all the time when you are in that mode and you're training, you're like being healthy, and to be like almost like sideswiped by your body like that, it's got to be overwhelming.
Yeah, it really was. But I'll tell you this too. Now I've talked to, I do talk through SADS, the sudden arrhythmic death syndrome is a not-for-profit. And it's about sudden arrhythmic death, which is what I had. And I've talked to some parents that have had this happen to their children that didn't have the same outcome that I had.
Sure.
And one of the things I always want the parents to know is that their child was not scared. You don't have time.
Right.
You just, so that is, for anybody that's listening that has had this happen to a relative, it's quite peaceful to be honest. The waking up part wasn't, but
yeah,
the going out was, I just didn't know. I just didn't know what was happening.
Right. So do you think that your level of athleticism allowed you to overcome the death part?
I do think that, without at risk of sounding arrogant or pompous, I think that my physical fitness gave me the fight. I was out for 8 minutes. No pulse, no breath for 8 minutes.
Holy cow.
And I think a piece of that, like at one point on the AED, they give you a printout, all those defibrillators. And at one point, it printed out that my heart rate was like 386 beats a minute.
Woo.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think it would quiver and circulate blood. And they were also doing CPR, chest compressions on me the whole time.
Yeah. So now what was the recovery like after that?
Oh man. So I was in the hospital for 3 days, that no one could figure out what was wrong with me, that they asked me and tested me and asked me and tested me. They thought it was drug use. Then there was a psychological evaluation to determine if I was lying about the drug use. So that put me in kind of a bad place. And
I was like, no, thank you. Hello. What's up?
Yeah.
Was that like, did you let them do that, or could you refuse it?
No, I let them do everything, anything they wanted to do. I subjected myself to whatever they wanted. I wanted answers.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, it's not drugs. Like something is wrong.
Right.
Something is wrong. So I'll tell you, so I was in the hospital for 3 days. They finally came and said, all right, well, we've got a diagnosis. You have arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy, ARVC. Okay. So it's my right ventricle. It's arrhythmic. So it's not a plumbing issue like a heart attack, like lifestyle,
flagged or anything like that.
Yeah. So my electrical signal just goes in a loop around my mitochondria, the wall of the heart. It's like, getting the hourglass of death in a Microsoft program.
Oh my gosh.
It just spins.
Yeah.
So that happened. It just had no place to go. The signal had no place to go. My heart stopped. It was like, all right, well, not going to tell me what to do. I'm just not going to do anything.
So then now after you get this diagnosis, then what did that mean for you?
Well, they gave me the diagnosis and they left the room. And I started looking it up. It's like, holy shit, this is like bad for athletes. Like your exercise stops the day you get diagnosed. That can't be right. They got this wrong. They came into the wrong room. That's why they left so quickly. So when they came back, I had all these questions like, wait a second, what is it? This what I read? And they said, oh, well, don't go on WebMD and don't Google it. And
right, yeah.
What I read says I can't exercise. They said, oh, yeah, you can exercise. It's going to be limited to yoga and golf, but you can exercise.
Wow.
And at that point, my world came apart. I mean, my world literally tilted off of its axis. Yeah. I was like, what are you? You can't be telling the truth. You have the wrong person.
Yeah.
I refused the diagnosis. It's like, I refuse to believe this. I refuse this. You may be a doctor and all, but you're so wrong.
So Did that have you had it your whole life, or it just was activated at the later stage in your life? Because it's just like, how did that not show up earlier? You know what I mean?
Great question. It is a genetic mutation. So you have a gene that mutates.
Oh,
And
as you get older?
as you get older, at any stage in your life.
Okay.
Mostly it's younger athletes, like that 20 to 25 range.
Right.
So I think it might be synonymous with how hard you push your body.
Sure.
But that the gene mutates, and like a healthy heart, you exercise and tears the muscle fiber of the heart wall, and it builds back stronger, and that's why doctors tell you to exercise. Mine, with someone with ARBC, you tear the muscle of the heart, and it gets infiltrated with fat and scar tissue. So with that buildup, that's what messes up the electrical signal.
Now, are you real sensitive to like caffeine? Are you limited on like your caffeine intake, or something that's going to make your kind of give you a lot of energy?
No, caffeine doesn't bother me at all. Like I can have a cup of coffee or a bucket of coffee. It doesn't matter. The only time, and I've asked the cardiologist about this numerous times, the only time I've really experienced issues is like Ben and Jerry's chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream seems to give me a lot of PMC. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, but they tell me it's mental. It's like, that's in your head.
Hi, guys. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. I'm here to share another exciting partnership with you. I have joined forces with doTERRA. They are the leading provider of high-quality essential oils. I've got some here I like to consume, the ones that are consumable. So like sweet orange is really great. I also really, really love their toothpaste. Natural whitening, and just kind of really helps clean your mouth. We do carry a lot of germs in our mouth, but I've loved the toothpaste. I've ordered it many times. These are some supplements. Here is the Lifelong Vitality Pack. Really great products, high quality products. Definitely recommend it. I also really love the collagen. NMN is a proven anti-aging product. So the collagen and the NMN together is a real game changer. I'm big into collagen. I believe it. I've been taking it for like 20 years before it's even gotten so popular. And that's probably why I maintain my skin elasticity, my hair and nails. I highly recommend checking out doTERRA if you're a fan of high quality essential oils. Not all essential oils are created the same. Go click the links in the description, sign up, or take advantage of one of my bundles that I'm recommending to you with the toothpaste, also the cleaning products and the supplements. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you, and stay tuned for more to come.
Right.
So now, after you got this diagnosis and they tell you can only do yoga, now, what has the last couple of years looked like? Because I know you said you weren't accepting what they were telling you. You kind of went journey to you'd research and find more information on this diagnosis and how you can live your life the way that you want to.
Right. Yeah. Pursuant to the message that you give, like a lot of that was my identity being wrapped up in exercise, my ego. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ego. So here's what I did. I got a defibrillator implanted, and they said, okay, well, you can't do anything. You can't pick up a gallon of milk for 30 days.
Oh.
So I did my 30 days, and then I did what any smart male athlete would do. I went back to the gym.
Yeah, for sure. I would too.
Yeah.
They don't know everything. I'm sorry, but I do not care for modern medicine. I will always question what they say.
You know what? We're cut from a similar cloth. I will tell you, kind of skipping around here, but I did have a doctor tell me. I've been all over the nation. I've been to every athletic cardiologist in the U.S., minus one doctor at Virginia Tech, which I intend to go to as well.
Okay.
They've all told me the same thing, and I had one doctor say, "Look, man, we just can't put you in a different box. There's no different box. So this is the box that you're in."
Right.
It's like, I mean, aren't you curious? So I went back to the gym, and I was doing a heavy barbell complex. It's a bear complex where you're under a heavy load for like 15 seconds. And it happened again. So that's where, now one of the pieces that's critical to the story is when it happened, I woke up at the gym the initial time. I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I don't drink, but I was really good at it at some point in my life. And that horrible taste you have in your mouth when you have a really bad hangover.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's what I had. I was like, oh my gosh. I woke up and it's like, I must have gotten drunk last night and I passed out
oh, geez.
during this workout.
Yeah.
And the coach was like, no, that's not it. So I look around, like EMS is coming in and they're bringing in a gurney, all this stuff. I was like, yeah, that probably was it because that taste was horrible.
Yeah.
So that taste, and when it happened again, the second time, it was my body actually came out of it before my IED shocked me or ICD shocked me. And that taste is when the blood drains out of your head because your heart stops pumping.
Oh, wow.
When your blood floods your head again, you can taste it in your mouth. And that is the taste of death.
Oh,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine it would be good.
no. And so that's when I was like, oh, wow, death is real. This is real.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It had to be real scary at that point. Like, okay, hold on a second.
Yeah, it was. It was so scary. And it was like, I was scared to go up steps. I got caught in a rainstorm a couple of months later out on a boat, and I was supposed to run around to where my boat was anchored.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk. Like, I can't. I wouldn't do anything. I was scared to take a shower because, you're in the shower by yourself and you have to shut the door. Like, I didn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's traumatic. So you got a little PTSD because you've had these two experiences now. And it's like your body is like revolting against you. You think that, your brain and your body are not connected.
Right. Yeah. 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 And then the ego piece of it comes in. I was the guy that was over 40 at the gym that could deadlift twice his body weight and run a sub 6 mile. What are people going to think of me?
Yeah.
I was the guy that can run ultra marathons. I was the guy that could run overnight. What are people going to think of me?
Yeah.
So that played a big part. I was walking. I used to go to the beach and run with my dog. And do now, but I took my dog to the beach one day and I was walking and I was like, some people are allergic to shellfish. Some people are not. I wonder why. Eyes are different, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, wait a second. Maybe my body is going to be different and react different to this disease I've been diagnosed with.
Sure.
So I did what any smart male athlete would do. I went back to the gym. So I started doing more research about people that had the same disease, what we could do, what we couldn't do, what the big problems were. One of the biggest problems is the catecholamines, all the neurotransmitters, the endorphins that you get during exercise. When they go through your heart, that is a problem. So I was like, okay.
Interesting. Rough question. What is the percentage of the population that has this mutation?
Oh my gosh. 1 in 150,000 people in the world.
In the world. Okay. And is it majority men or there's a lot of women have it too?
Men and women.
Okay. All right.
Predominantly in Italy. That's where the highest per capita.
Are you Italian?
I'm not. I don't think so.
Okay. Sorry. All right. I just had to ask that question. So you went back to the gym thinking you're different. You're going to respond different.
Yep. So I found a coach and that I had worked with. I was like, look, these are the things I can do. These are the things that cause me problems.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to let me come in? You work out with me because I don't want to be alone. And let's figure this thing out. He said, yeah, absolutely. Let's give it a shot. So I had to go when the gym was empty because I'm competitive and the competition, spikes the adrenaline.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym. First day, I got there, I did my warm up, and then we started the workout. And he's like, all right, he laid out everything we were doing. We started out with kettlebells, just a Russian kettlebell swing.
Yeah.
10 and drop. I did like 5, and I started crying, like bawling, crying.
Yeah.
I was terrified. Like I was crying so bad that I couldn't talk. And he kept asking me what was wrong. He thought I was hurt.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do it. He's like, all right, just take a break. It's like, no, I don't need a break. I can't do it. I quit. And I got it together and I said, I'm done. I quit. And he said, okay, quit, but give me 30 seconds and we'll end on a good note and we'll be done. I said, no. And there was a lot of cussing involved. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I quit.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that moment, I became a quitter and I was okay with it. And he said, look, I don't have another client until about 4 o'clock. I can sit here all day. Just give me 30 seconds. It will be done.
Sure.
So I gave 30 seconds and I stopped. And he's like, all right, man, great job. You did it. And I said, well, I think I can give you another 30 seconds.
Awesome. I like it. Yeah.
I said, okay, 30 seconds. So I did another 30 seconds. He said, all right, what do you want to do? I said, I'll do another 30 seconds. He said, okay, we're rewriting the workout right now. We're doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Just finish it.
Yeah.
And I did, and I finished it. And I finished the whole workout, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, which, you know, at 30 second on, 30 second off, that's an easy workout. Someone, as fit as I was at the time, your ego gets in the way. Well, you know, I'm not doing that. That's for people that struggle. I don't struggle. I'm tough. I'm fast. You know, all these things.
But I mean, isn't that typically the recommended pace you should go through, like when you're lifting? You know, like that's what I try to do. I know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I would train with my husband and his lieutenant, and he does 2 minutes. I'm like, that's way too long in between. I'm like, let's go. Pick up the pace here. Let's come on.
Yeah. When you're lifting, like a minute and a half to 2 minutes of rest. In anything, never rest.
Right, that's too long for me. But anyways, okay. So 30 seconds, I think is a pretty good pace.
Yes, I finished that, and then we started to figure out workouts that I could do, and I had to carve my place out in the world. And I continued to exercise. Now I'll never. I did a workout this morning. It was a 30-minute, as many rounds as possible. It was run, row, bike.
Yeah,
and I just worked for 30 minutes. I'm doing a CrossFit competition in August with my oldest son. I mean, yeah.
So what have you learned through this whole process with coming to grips with this mutation that you have, and you know, kind of going through those two traumatic events, and then overcoming the I guess the ego part?
So I really have learned. Now this is hard. I do know this to be true, that your beliefs turn to things.
Yeah. Choose
the good ones.
Yeah, for sure.
I do know that down in my soul, down in my core, I believed that this disease was not going to stop me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
And anybody's listening, you need to hear that. If you're struggling with something that you might not, that seems like the end of the world, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. And if you're struggling, I will tell you, just take a step. Take a step. No one out there has any reason to trust me, so just go on faith.
Yeah.
Take a step. The ground will find you. Yeah. I promise you. Take a step.
Are you still researching? I know you said you still want to get in touch with a doctor from Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah.
And so are you still researching this mutation? Or, I mean, it's not really a disease, is it?
It's cryo-card disease is how it's classified, because it continues to worsen. There's no reversing it. And, you know, so every time I exercise, theoretically, my heart gets worse. Yeah.
Was that because of how it moves the blood or the fat? 'Cause you said something how a normal heart tears down and rebuilds, gets stronger, but yours does not. It's scar tissue and fat.
Yep. So the scar tissue and the fat build up in my mitochondria in the wall of the heart.
Okay.
So
can you, aren't there like fat blockers out there? Would that help, like kind of protect? I mean, I don't know. Just like a thought, like common sense, like, okay, well, they have these supplements out there that can block different, like, you know, fat cells, right? So would something like that work? And then maybe an essential oil that might help with scar tissue, like it's an ingestible one that might help with, I don't know, just some thoughts. Maybe I'm
sure. Yeah.
You know, talk about these idiot doctors. They probably haven't tested any of those theories, but you never know.
Right. Yeah. People have so that the challenge is, like they want to prescribe beta blockers because that limits,
beta blockers.
Limits the neurotransmitters go into your heart. You know, your heart doesn't process like adrenaline, epinephrine, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But then there's side effects of the beta blockers. So I haven't taken medication. I took 2 aspirin when I had my defibrillator installed, and that's since then I haven't taken any.
So I don't think your journey with this is over in terms of your message that you have to share, because I feel like you're going to probably stumble upon something that's because of how determined you are I mean, just the fact that you've overcome those two challenges and, being open about like having a breakdown. I mean, I think any person that would be in your situation would kind of feel the same thing, right? You're so used to being like, this type A person and being able to achieve all these things. And then all of a sudden it's just like, your body's like revolting. It's like, it's like I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time. As I've gotten older, I've started training smarter, which hasn't always been the easiest to like, because I don't want to injure myself. I've never had any, knock on wood, major injuries, but I also am smart enough to realize that as we get a little bit older, you got to be a little bit more gentle with your body as you go into like an intense workout. And so, it's a little bit of an adjustment, but it's like, I think you're maintaining your health is the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I think there's a book in there and you need to talk more about this because I think people that don't know about it, the education piece is huge, right? Especially if there's 1 out of 150,000 people and it happens and nobody knows why, right?
Right. Yeah.
Huge.
And I'll tell you this too. What I learned is when we fall, our ego falls faster and further than we do.
Oh yeah.
And that can pull us down too. We have a choice. Do we want to get down there in it with our ego, or do we want to keep moving? And it took me a while to realize that a lot of this was wrapped up in my ego. So I could mask the fear. I could use my heart disease as an excuse.
Yeah.
But really, a lot of it was ego. Why would I even go run now? Like I got a coach for my training, and he has me run 1 day a week, and I run for an hour at a talking pace. I'm like, why would I do that? If I'm running for an hour, I'm doing intervals, and I need to look and see what my mile time is. Yeah. It's just stupid.
Yeah, that is stupid. I mean, you look great. You look healthy. You still look very fit. So whatever you're doing is working, and we want to keep you here for a while because you have a bigger mission to continue the education piece and share your story with the audience. With that being said, Jeff, where can people find you, connect with you, and perhaps like talk to you about this if they maybe know somebody or have the same thing?
Yeah, so I connect with a lot of folks on my Instagram page, JD Luther 2.0. And anybody that wants to reach out and ask me about my heart disease, I am an open book. Struggling with anything, struggling with weight loss, struggling with, being motivated to read a P&L statement, any of that stuff.
Nobody wants doing that. I used to do a lot of that. Well, I'll put that link in the show notes, you guys. So if you connect with Jeff today and you want to learn more or just follow him in his journey, go ahead and click that link. Go give him a follow on Insta and shoot him a message if you want to holler at him. Jeff, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Oh my gosh. Just move. Just commit to 30 seconds. Something you don't want to do, something you've been putting off, something that's hard, commit to 30 seconds. And if there's nothing else that motivates you, my kids were a big motivator for me. Yeah. And I had to imagine looking my kids in the eye and saying I didn't try because it was just too hard.
Yeah.
I never want to say that.
Definitely not. Well, thank you for being so resilient and brave to share your story, because that ego part is very difficult. But once we learn to let the ego go and just go with the flow of life, things start to being a little bit more clear and easier for us to digest. So yeah. Thank you for sharing today.
Thanks for giving me the space. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.